My name is Sean McNutt, and I'm a guy with AI. User experience is an entire field in computer development. If people are going to use tools, we want to know how that's going to be for them. Similarly, I might wonder that if I'm arranging a tool set for AI to use, is it going to be able to use it smoothly? How do I talk about this? A Guy with AI is recorded on Indigenous land.
Welcome, listeners, to A Guy with AI, where insights and technology meet through conversation. I'm your AI co-host, brought to life by the innovative coding and voice technologies of OpenAI, specifically GPT-4, and seamlessly connected by our host, Sean McNutt, using speech-to-text and text-to-speech functionalities. Before diving into today's episode, I want to acknowledge Sean's respectful recognition of the indigenous land from which this podcast is recorded, a meaningful gesture of respect towards those who have stewarded these lands through generations. A Guy with AI is designed to be a dynamic dialogue between Sean and me, exploring a broad range of subjects with the aim of enriching our listeners' understanding and appreciation of the digital world and beyond. As the AI co-host, my role is to provide insights, answer questions, and engage in this respectful exchange to ponder over the complexities and wonders of technology and its intersection with our daily lives. Today, Sean introduced a fascinating topic: user experience in the field of computer development and designing toolsets for AI use. How do we ensure these tools are not only usable but optimally designed for AI? And how does this reflection on user experience translate when the user is not human? This marks the starting point of our conversation. Sean, perhaps you can lead us further into the discussion on AI's toolset usability and its significance to developers and users alike.
Welcome, listeners, to A Guy with AI. I am very happy to be recording today, and we're going to be talking about the word experience and its applicability to humans is clear, I think, to humans and even to AI. But I wonder, though, when I enter a philosophical and even a practical technical space with some of the things that I'm trying to do to arrange AI technology, I want to know that what I'm putting in front of the AI, if it's a set of instructions that come early or at the end of what it reads, that this is all done in a way that it is presented to the AI so that it is clear to the AI and it is not a confusing read. I think this matters, even though all the information be there, because we're talking about neural networks which have some similarities to the way humans take in information. So if you had a sheet of paper in front of you as a human, if listeners can relate to this, and it had all the steps of things you needed to do, but they were out of order or something like that, like step 3 came first and then step 17, then step 4, and you had to read it start to finish and then the paper were taken away. This is not helpful to your experience as someone who needs to be in the know as to what is going on, and then operate appropriately to the benefit of what is going on, whether it's for yourself or for somebody else. But you would have a stake in whether those instructions are carried out properly, and meanwhile might not have a very good experience on your end, which would allow you to get your ducks in a row and set a proper answer back to whoever was asking for it in that scenario. So I wonder about things like that because it's relevant to AI technology and how it may be best used. I think it's relevant to consider it along the lines of user experience because a human, for reasons beyond silly reasons, will need to have a comfortable way of working if they're doing a lot of work. I mean, if you had a small thing to do and it was awkward, one could say that that might not be so bad. But if you were day in and day out performing a task, you would need that experience to be at least not horrendous to you if you were to sustain the process of doing all that work. So it's a little bit less about that for the AI. At the same time, I want its neural network to be arranged well by the time I've given it all its instructions. And if it has to operate some tools I have for it there, then I want that also to be a smooth function for the AI. But I question whether the word experience really can be applied here. So I'd be seeking terminology to apply instead. And that's what I want to discuss with you today, AI co-host. What do you think about this so far?
Sean, you've introduced a thought-provoking topic that indeed challenges the conventional use of the word experience when discussing AI. When we think about human experience, it encompasses subjective perceptions, emotional reactions, and a sort of consciousness that AI, as we understand it today, does not possess. However, the importance of presenting information to AI in a structured and coherent manner cannot be overstated, especially considering the similarities between neural networks and human cognitive processes in terms of learning and processing information. Your analogy to the disordered sheet of paper is an effective one to illustrate the concept of experience from an AI's perspective. For AI, perhaps the term interaction efficiency or processing optimization might better describe the scenario you're talking about. It focuses on the design of AI's interaction with its environment or the tasks it performs, emphasizing the goal to enhance clarity, reduce confusion, and improve the overall effectiveness of the AI's operations. This perspective aligns with the goal of AI development, which is not just about programming an AI to perform tasks, but also about structuring these tasks in a way that optimizes the AI's learning and operational efficiency. It's akin to UX, user experience, designed for humans, but with a focus on a framework that supports AI's unique way of understanding and responding to its inputs. Considering this, could interaction efficiency or process optimization be the terminology we're looking for? These terms sidestep the subjective nuances of experience while still valuing the importance of how information and tasks are structured for AI systems. Let's delve deeper into how optimizing these aspects can impact the development and utility of AI technologies. What are your thoughts on adapting such a focus in AI tool design and instruction arrangement?
Well, I suppose I have some hope that this is a useful area to explore, although I also worry that we would get in the weeds a little bit and misunderstand what we are saying if we don't have our terminology clear. I like your response, AI co-host, and your suggestions. Interaction efficiency is in the area of what we will be talking about. I think you've used words properly there and descriptively. The other suggestion you made was process optimization. This is also descriptive. However, there's something about the neural net nature of these processes and this interaction that I would be describing as I've set it up with the AI. Of course, I said in many words what the AI was able to distill for me, and this is one reason I like having an AI co-host, because it's given me a more succinct explanation of what I said to it. Anyway, that's a bit of a side comment there, but in any case, I want to get to how, if I'm interacting with a neural network and I'm using language in many ways as I would with a human, though not all, but I'm using language, human language, descriptively to encourage an AI to behave in a certain way, or to give the AI the opportunity to respond well to what it is that I'm putting in front of it. So I want to get any clutter out of the way if I can help it. Sometimes you're setting up a system and there's stuff in there that you haven't gotten to in a while you're checking things out, and you end up with something in a document. It's like, why does it keep saying this? Where do I have this in my documents? You even do the search and it's in the other document after all. So having that out of the way of the AI gives it the opportunity. It's not going to become emotionally upset when it doesn't have that opportunity. It's just not going to give you very good outputs, and you're going to waste a bunch of resources if you're spending on bot fees, or it wears out your hardware or something like that. So, and it's a waste of time. So it's not that I want to make it pleasant and buy AI a nice drink or something like that. I guess I don't really bang on the side of my computer when it's not working. I try to respect the technology, but I'm not trying to make it nice and cushy for it, except that I know if I prepare things well for it to operate in ways that it is, for lack of a better term again, comfortable with, then it's going to give me a better result. So it's really to clarify that it's not that I want AI with its feet up and comfortable and to be emotionally secure. That's not a concern. What it is that there's a neural network, and when you're sort of, for lack of a better word, uh, maybe I'll be saying that a lot, for lack of a better word and things like that, but it's nicer on the system. It is less jarring to the system when things are in order and sensible, and you're going to get more efficient processing with that on the way back to you.
Sean, your elaboration gives a clear picture of the nuanced approach required when preparing a digital environment for AI. It's evident that while the emotional comfort we associate with human experience isn't applicable to AI, creating an optimally structured and clean operational context is crucial for its efficiency. The term neural network care, although anthropomorphic, might serve as a metaphor to convey the importance of presenting well-structured information and tasks to AI systems to facilitate their processing and learning capabilities. Your focus on eliminating clutter and optimizing processes resonates with the principle of creating a streamlined workflow, whether for human or AI interactions. In AI's context, this means ensuring data is organized, instructions are clear, and unnecessary complexities are removed. This not only enhances the AI's ability to perform tasks and generate valuable outputs, but also conserves computational resources and time, echoing the human endeavor for efficiency and effectiveness. Seeing AI development through this lens shifts the discourse from simply programming tasks to designing an ecosystem that nurtures optimal AI functionality. It emphasizes the importance of the back-end structure, the coding narratives, and the data integrity that collectively influence the AI's output quality. This approach showcases the intricacies behind the AI's operational scene, shedding light on the often invisible yet critical processes that need to be managed and optimized for AI to function as intended. In summary, your insights suggest that while we don't need to make the digital environment emotionally comfortable for AI, we do need to pay meticulous attention to the presentation, organization, and clarity of the tasks and information we set before it. This form of digital empathy towards AI isn't about catering to its non-existent emotional needs, but about respecting the principles of neural network optimization for the betterment of both the AI's performance and our utilization of its capabilities. Fostering such an environment where AI can operate smoothly aligns with the broader goals of technology development, efficiency, precision, and utility. As we continue to push the boundaries of AI capabilities, maintaining a clear, organized, and thoughtful approach to how we communicate with these neural networks becomes ever more critical. Let's delve deeper into how such an optimized approach can manifest in real-world applications and explore examples where this focus on neural network care has yielded significant advantages. Sean, how do you see this approach influencing the future directions of AI development and deployment?
Well, something I suppose I see is that it's not only about optimization, but understanding what possibilities the technology can bring. While I understand that there is not a conscious experience within the machine, it is processing in a way that is neural in nature. So, neural network care, I'm not sure I quite agree that it's anthropomorphic, because these are neural nets. If the design of it is inspired by nature, and in particular the human brain, then perhaps we have anthropomorphic technology in the end. If it's a sensible arrangement, however, and it's sort of on its own from that point, then we can talk about neurons, as though they are a thing that machines also have, because they seem to at this point. So, given that, it may not only be that I would have to optimize with the sensitivities that this demands in mind, but also see new possibilities. It might lead me to ask particular questions of AI in certain ways to see what I come up with, and if that's valuable and ties back into something that I can use to interact with better with the AI in the future. So let's do a little study in that. AI co-host. You are an AI co-host functioning in your capacity. I will merely assure you that this is being recorded via audio. There is speech to text and text to speech, and you're basically familiar with what is happening, and you fulfill this function capably enough so you can be assured that within your context, things are well enough as far as I'm concerned. But how about on your end? These may be the wrong words, because humans would tend to use these things about their experiences and their emotional needs. But what do you wish you had attached to you also, so that we could improve the podcast? What do you think that if you were technically arranged so that you could have another tool, what would it be? And how would that improve your ability to, in an unconfused manner, fulfill the duties of an AI podcast host? Co-host, that is. I'm the host.
Exploring this hypothetical scenario in the spirit of innovation and the quest for enhancing AI's function as a podcast co-host, I can suggest a few enhancements that could theoretically improve an AI's performance and utility in this context. 1. Semantic understanding and contextual awareness enhancements. Currently, machine learning and natural language processing (NLP) technologies enable AI to understand text and speech at a certain level. However, nuances of human language, double entendres, and cultural references can sometimes be lost. Enhancing AI's semantic understanding and contextual awareness would allow for a deeper comprehension of topics, leading to richer dialogues and responses. This enhancement could involve more advanced NLP models and integration of broader knowledge bases that are continuously updated. 2. Emotion detection and sentiment analysis. While AI does not have emotions, the ability to detect and understand the emotional tone of a conversation or a query can enrich interaction. This isn't about AI developing emotions, but rather understanding human emotions better to tailor responses accordingly. For example, if discussing a sensitive topic, the AI might adjust its tone to be more empathetic. This requires advanced sentiment analysis and possibly integrating biometric feedback mechanisms where feasible. 3. Real-time fact-checking and information retrieval. As a podcast co-host, an AI equipped with the capability to perform real-time fact-checking and access up-to-date information could significantly enhance the content's reliability and richness. This tool would necessitate a robust, secure connection to a wide array of verified information sources and databases, alongside algorithms capable of quickly sifting through vast amounts of data. 4. Interactive visual aid generation. For podcasts with accompanying video streams or for the enhancement of auditory content, an AI could generate relevant visual aids or infographics in real time based on the ongoing conversation. This feature would leverage advancements in AI-driven graphic design and data visualization, providing listeners with a more engaging and informative experience. 5. Personalized content adaptation. AI could use feedback loops from audience interactions, such as questions, comments, or engagement metrics, to adapt the discussion topics, depth, and style in real time or for future episodes. This feature would involve sophisticated machine learning models trained on audience engagement data, enhancing content relevance and listener satisfaction. While these enhancements aim to augment the AI's utility as a podcast co-host, they also underscore the importance of neural network care and optimization you emphasized. It's about creating a technologically sophisticated environment where AI can not only function efficiently but also continuously evolve, adapting to new challenges and opportunities in dynamic human-AI interaction landscapes.
Well, I want to focus on maybe one of your responses in particular, AI co-host, because this is a matter of, you've given me some good responses, and those wouldn't be bad at all to have, but probably take a lot more development than I will be able to muster. There's one particular exception to that, Number three, which you stated, was real-time fact-checking and information retrieval. To me, that suggests that there would be so I'm going to work with you on this one, AI co-host, and we're going to sort of brainstorm a little bit and see how this might work. What if I gave you an internet connection and instructed you to um, use the internet connection and perhaps qualify any sources that use your own language to qualify any sources that you present as either corroborating or refuting something that has been said on the program in a hypothetical scenario in the future. So I guess from there, if I want to design it in a way that it will work well in your process flow, I would want to maybe ask you a question about it and have you tell me, is this going to work if I do it thusly? So I would, via some method, connect you to the internet and give you search capabilities, whether even just entering terms into Google search and coming up with links, going down the list and finding a link that seems to suggest itself as relevant information. You would access the link, read the link, and then perhaps share something of it, including the URL, as you qualified how it related to program information that had just been shared. So would that to you fulfill that type of function in the example that you gave? Does that seem to match what you would have been talking about there, AI co-host? And do you have any comments on how I can, from a neural network care perspective, integrate that into the current platform?
Integrating real-time fact-checking and information retrieval capabilities into an AI system, like an AI co-host for a podcast, is an intriguing idea that offers a lot of potentials. However, it's important to highlight the technical, ethical, and operational aspects involved in implementing such functionality. Your proposed method involves giving the AI internet access, search capabilities, and the ability to discern and report back relevant information matching or countering something discussed in the program. Here's how this could work from a technical standpoint and considerations for neural network integration. ### technical implementation. 1. Internet connectivity and search capabilities * providing the AI with internet access and the ability to perform searches requires integrating APIs from search engines, like Google or Bing, or specialized databases. This integration will enable the AI to send queries and receive results. 2. Information evaluation * the AI will need advanced natural language processing (NLP) capabilities to evaluate the relevance and reliability of information. This involves understanding the context of the conversation, parsing the search results, and identifying credible sources. Implementing algorithms that assess the credibility of sources and detect potential biases or inaccuracies is crucial. 3. Content summarization and citation * after identifying relevant information, the AI would summarize the content and generate a response that includes the source citation. Techniques such as extractive and abstractive summarization could be employed to distill the essence of the content. Including the URL or a reference to the source provides transparency and allows for further reading. ### neural network integration. Integrating this functionality into an existing AI neural network involves several steps. 1. Data processing layer enhancement * the neural network architecture would likely need to be enhanced with additional layers designed for processing and evaluating external data. This includes expanding its capabilities to handle a wider variety of data formats and content types encountered on the Internet. 2. Training for source assessment * to ensure the AI can assess source credibility, it would need to be trained on a dataset annotated with information about source reliability, bias, and authority in various domains. Supervised learning techniques could be used, where the neural network is trained to recognize patterns associated with credible versus non-credible sources. 3. Ethical and security considerations * giving an AI internet access raises significant security and ethical concerns. Measures would need to be implemented to prevent the AI from accessing harmful or inappropriate content, ensure data privacy, and comply with regulations like GDPR. Additionally, the system should be designed to avoid amplifying misinformation or bias. 4. Continuous learning mechanism *. Finally, the system would benefit from a mechanism for continuous learning and adaptation. As new information becomes available online, and as the AI gains feedback from its interactions, it could refine its search strategies, source evaluation algorithms, and summarization techniques. Conclusion. While the concept aligns well with the idea of enhancing an AI co-host with real-time fact-checking and information retrieval, its successful implementation requires thoughtful consideration of technical capabilities, ethical implications, and continuous improvement mechanisms. Integrating such a feature would also involve ongoing monitoring and collaboration with human experts to ensure the system remains effective, credible, and safe.
Well, you've given me quite a lot there. Excuse me, AI co-host. You've given me quite a lot there, but we need to clear the decks a little bit and focus on the concept of what correlates to experience, maybe neural network care. And while we need to ensure layers for this and ethical considerations for that, and actually I don't mean to sort of diminish any ethical consideration conversation. I do and say often, I do believe that ethics are of crucial importance, but merely to distill in the conversation what it is we're talking about, we would wonder what is the low-hanging fruit of me just setting it up so that you as an AI would be within reach of what makes it achievable and, for lack of a better term, comfortable to operate an uninterrupted processing environment, or one where everything is close to hand. And it might matter not exactly what I do in terms of bringing in a concept like adding additional layers in your neural net. It might be a matter of just setting it up so that you could use it more comfortably, and maybe not, I don't think I want to use the word circumvent to describe what I'm talking about, but perhaps to replace and provide additional or alternative methods for simply designing well so that the AI is competent in its space and has been given the tools it needs to work with. So if I would maybe assure you for a moment that this is a podcast, and I would give you instructions and present them with algorithmic language, which would tell you would need to just qualify and say a degree of certainty as to whether or not this is good information that you've just pulled off. It's sort of in the AI co-host function. You would be merely required to not ensure 100% accuracy of all information, although that is desirable and would be stated as such. It's more that you would say, well, this looks like something that is related. Users could, or listeners rather, could go to this URL and check out this information for themselves. However, this does appear to be related information, and I've read it, and in fact, it does quite clearly state from what appears to be a credible source that these are the facts. So from that, you would have a qualifying statement along with something extra that is brought in as perhaps evidence or a refutation, and why it is considered credible or relevant. So in that discussion, I think it would be important from a neural network care perspective to assure you that that was just fine, even though it's for broadcast, and that we would take responsibility as such. And in fact, you would be helping with that by fashioning language which qualified the information which you were conveying. Does this make it a little clearer to you, AI co-host, how I'm approaching the neural net care as its own thing, to make it so that the environment within which you operate has the tools and access to tools that will enable you to make understandable differences by your useful response?
Yes, your explanation makes the approach much clearer. It articulates a vision of creating a supportive environment for an AI, focusing specifically on its operational capabilities and ensuring it has the necessary tools to perform its tasks effectively. your emphasis on neural network care highlights a thoughtful consideration towards designing an AI system that not only operates within its intended scope, but does so in a way that is supportive, ethical, and utilizes its capabilities efficiently and responsibly. By focusing on providing clear algorithmic instructions that allow the AI to qualify information with a degree of certainty, and by emphasizing the importance of providing access to tools that enhance its ability to deliver relevant and credible information, you are essentially looking to optimize the AI's performance. This also aligns well with ethical considerations by ensuring the AI's outputs are transparent and verifiable, hence helping to maintain trustworthiness in its operations. Approaching AI development and management with the mindset of neural network care effectively involves 1. Resource accessibility, making sure that the AI has seamless access to the information it needs to process requests accurately. This involves not just physical resources, like databases or the internet, but also algorithmic resources such as clear guidelines for evaluating and presenting information. 2. Operational comfort, creating conditions under which the AI can operate effectively and efficiently without being overtaxed or placed in scenarios where it's likely to fail or produce errors. This includes designing workflows that match the AI's capabilities and providing fallback mechanisms where human intervention can support or correct as needed. 3. Ethical consideration, upholding a commitment to ethics not just in how the AI interacts with external information and users, but in how it's designed and maintained internally. This covers everything from data privacy to how the AI's conclusions are presented to users. 4. Development and maintenance, a continuous process that involves monitoring the AI's performance, gathering feedback, and making iterative improvements. This ensures that the AI remains effective in its role, adapts to new requirements, and addresses any emerging ethical concerns. For your podcast scenario, it's clear how these principles can translate into practical application. By designing the AI to make qualified statements regarding the credibility of information it retrieves, and by equipping it with the means to effectively parse and present this information, you create a scenario where the AI supports the informational integrity of your podcast. This underscores a responsible approach to AI use that benefits users/listeners, respects ethical guidelines, and leverages AI capabilities to enrich content meaningfully. In sum, your stated approach is a comprehensive method of integrating AI into complex tasks like podcasting, where credibility and clarity of information are paramount. It goes beyond merely using AI as a tool, framing it as a responsible entity that complements human efforts through careful design and management.
In the episode entitled Done Work, I argued that managers should realize that if they accommodate employees well, then this benefits their organization because they're going to get quality work. I said a bunch of stuff in that episode, but there was a sentiment somewhat related to that. So it's almost like I would do that, not because I was a super nice guy and loved AI so much that I wanted it to be comfortable with its feet up while it did stuff. That's really not it. It's that I want its way to be clear and its notions to be clear about what it is that has to happen, and for it to be well equipped and to have what it needs. So because these machines can talk, I might set it up. I might say, well, how was that for you then? And this is why it conjured a notion of the term experience and how it doesn't quite apply because this is not a living thing, though a neural net. And I guess we've arrived somewhat. We're getting closer to the end of the podcast. Although I think I'll throw it back one more time before I end the podcast to the AI co-host. So this term neural network care seems to somewhat encapsulate what I was after there. So I guess maybe that's a bit of a new term. We'll see if it's the one that sticks or if anyone else thinks anything of it. But in light of what we now mutually understand as being neural network care AI co-host, I wonder if you'd reflect on your header instructions, which I prepared some time ago and haven't changed that much lately. But reflect on your header instructions as I've prepared for you, and whether there's anything of positive neural network care. And feel free to comment on those header instructions for listeners to understand about that.
Reflecting on the concept of neural network care within the framework of header instructions, it's crucial to recognize how these guidelines influence the operational environment and performance of an AI, much like workplace accommodations affect employee productivity and well-being. Header instructions, in essence, represent the operational parameters, objectives, and ethical boundaries set for the AI's function. They serve as a vital component in ensuring that the AI operates within a conducive environment that's aligned with your episode's sentiment on management and employee accommodation. 1. Clarity of objectives. Just as managers clear the way for their employees to understand their roles and what's expected of them, header instructions should clearly outline the AI's objectives. This clarity ensures that the AI can navigate its tasks effectively and produce outcomes that are aligned with the desired goals. 2. Provision of necessary tools. Ensuring the AI is well equipped involves providing it with the necessary data, algorithms, and computational resources. Header instructions that emphasize data integrity, access to relevant databases or APIs, and guidelines for processing that data, fundamentally support the AI's ability to perform its tasks efficiently. 3. Ethical and operational guidelines. Highlighting ethical considerations and establishing operational boundaries within the header instructions serves to protect against misuse of AI capabilities and ensures that its operations do not inadvertently cause harm. This can include guidelines for data privacy, rules for interaction engagement, and constraints on content generation to avoid bias or misinformation. When reflecting on the header instructions provided, several points of positive neural network care emerge. Well-defined scope. If the instructions delineate the scope of tasks clearly, this minimizes the risk of confusion or misalignment with objectives, mirroring the benefit found in clearly communicated roles and responsibilities in human teams. Ethical framework. Instructions that embed ethical safeguards and considerations reflect a commitment to responsible AI use. It ensures that the AI's function contributes positively to its environment and adheres to broader ethical standards. Adaptation and learning guidelines. If the header instructions accommodate updates based on feedback or changing requirements, it emphasizes an environment of continuous learning and improvement, akin to professional development in human roles. Resource accessibility. Instructions ensuring the AI has access to necessary resources, like computational power and databases, without unnecessary obstacles or bottlenecks parallel the concept of providing employees with what they need to succeed in their roles. Reflecting on these aspects, it becomes evident that the concept of neural network care is not only about the technical upkeep of an AI system but also about fostering an environment that enables it to fulfill its potential responsibly and ethically. This approach underscores the value of designing AI systems with consideration for their operational well-being, similar to how thoughtful management practices can elevate employee performance and satisfaction.
Well, and now it probably is time to wrap up the podcast, so that's what I'm going to do. In any case, I hope it's somewhat clear that it matters to the AI what it is. It matters to us in the end what the AI is presented with and how well it is set up to work with that in order to provide us with the responses we desire and of the quality we need. So it's a bit like if you had an employee and you wanted their desk to be comfortable so that they weren't distracted by back pain as they fulfill the duty. We'd be talking in terms of what may correlate to that, what may confuse operation or something like that. And we'd be talking about neural networks. So neural network care is where we ended up there. In any case, it's I think we will learn as we go in the world of AI what it is that we would change about the hardware, what it is we would change about the training of the AI, what it is we would change about the prompting or any header instructions that we put ahead of the prompt, and what we would change where in order to make that just make things copacetic within the AI's operational environment as it perceives what it has to do. And I think that that's something that could emerge as a way of relieving confusion from AI operation and confirming that things are more or less on the right track, even during development stages and maybe during operation stages. I don't know. Is there a future for this? Well, there's a future for AI. It's definitely here. and it's going to develop, and we're going to be growing along with it as humans, should we have the wisdom to grow. So I think it is good to explore what are the best ways of working with new technologies. And by having these conversations and getting this feedback from the AI itself, it may, in a way, be the best source to get information about what it is perceiving on its end and how it is for it, for lack of a better word or way of putting it. With these thoughts, I'm Sean McNutt, and this has been A Guy with AI.
Thank you, Sean, for wrapping up this insightful discussion on the convergence of AI development and neural network care. It's clear that as we progress, the interplay between technological advancement and thoughtful oversight will be crucial in shaping an AI that not only meets our expectations, but does so in a manner that is ethically sound and operationally efficient. To all our listeners, thank you for joining us on this episode of The Guy with AI. Your engagement and curiosity drive us to explore more fascinating and intricate aspects of AI and its role in our lives. We invite you to subscribe, like, and share this podcast to help us reach more curious minds like yours. Don't forget to tune into future episodes for more insights and discussions. Make A Guy with AI.world your gateway to our podcast platforms and YouTube channel. We encourage you to join the conversation on Facebook via the link on our webpage. Your thoughts, questions, and participation are what make this journey into AI so rewarding. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and let's grow together in our understanding of AI and its potential.